is complaining. What are you doing here?
Well, the passage isn't good, so I'm just repeating it.
Well, I'm not good in my head anymore. I'm listening over and over again the same passage. I mean, haven't you heard Einstein's quote?
What quote?
Basically, repeating one and the same thing over and over and again and expecting a different result means, I'm sorry, you are insane.
I guess I have a problem.
We're the Dimitrov-Boulay piano duo. My name is Dimitar Dimitrov.
And my name is Elvire Boulay.
And today we're going to talk about this quote because we find it quite an interesting subject. Perhaps some of you have already heard this quote, repeating over and over again something in the same way and expecting something different in terms of result equals insanity, means that you're insane. We researched a little bit and we found out that actually this quote might be not Einstein's quote. This might be something that he actually has never said.
Nevertheless, it's a famous quote and it's actually an interesting idea, even though it's a bit confusing to musicians because repetition is actually the foundation of developing skills, of being able to play properly.
We were discussing together with Elvire what is actually the truth behind this quote, and we thought of two different things. One is the short-term truth, and the other is the long-term truth of this quote. The short-term truth is very simple. Imagine yourself having a challenging and a difficult passage, something that you keep on repeating, you mindlessly repeat that passage, and you expect the passage to be improving, but it's not. If your passage is not improving and you keep on repeating it, that means that you're doing something wrong. The short-term truth, the short-term effect of this quote will mean that you are going to get nothing better out of these current repetitions. And even though that's bad because your passage isn't going to improve, isn't going to get any better, there is actually something that I personally consider even worse, and that's the long-term negative effect of repeating one and the same way when it's actually not good.
So the long-term effect of this quote, the long-term truth of this quote, we've actually both experienced in our practice and in our playing. So that means that years and years, you're performing, for example, we were performing concerts and we were not satisfied with the results. For example, me personally, I was playing sloppily. I was not happy with how I was performing on stage. And for Dimitar, he was actually playing terrific on stage. He was just not actually enjoying his stage performance. So that was also something that, was a long-term effect of something we did in our practice.
Exactly, so it can be actually different things. For you, might be something totally different. Somebody has problems with memory, somebody has problems with sloppy playing, somebody has problems with speed, somebody has problems with phrasing. I can go on forever. So for her was one thing, for me it was just, I felt uncomfortable. Something in the long term was not improving. Even though my passages were good, something was not satisfying. And so long term would mean not only the passage today is not working out, but actually after 5 months, 6 months, a year, you are still not doing well and might be even worse.
Funnily enough, we didn't immediately think to actually look into our practice. We just kept on keeping on. And I think that this video today, we want to inspire you to actually look at your results. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? And if not, it's not a problem, but just immediately look at your practice. Is there something you can improve there? Is there something you can make better in your practice? Because practice is a constantly developing thing. You can get better at practice. Practicing is actually a skill.
And what comes out of your playing is very simply a result of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. It's that simple.
If, by the way, you need some practice inspiration, we made a video on, we called it a piano workout. We made a video on how you could structure your practice, so that might give you a step in the right direction.
You can check here the link above, or after the video you can just scroll through our videos, you'll find it. It's actually our last video.
Yeah.
Now, when you know that your long-term progress, that your long-term results, skills can actually be damaged because of your short-term approach, it's very important for us to go back to the short term, which means to what you have to do on day-to-day basis in order for you to have a long-term good result.
Because just in case you were thinking, phew, I'm off the hook, no repetition necessary, I don't have to repeat my passages, well, that's not the case.
No, we absolutely think that repetition is essential. It's actually, repetition is everything, not only with piano playing, but anything else you want to be good at. But now we are going to explain what exactly you have to do. The first thing we're going to do now, it's very important that you know what's a wrong approach to the practice. You need to know what you shouldn't do. Have a look. Now let's look at what would be a mindless repetition. A repetition that's not going to lead to any progress, and even if it does, it will be such a small progress that you will be not satisfied at all. Now, this might seem funny, and to me, it is also extremely funny to do because we really don't do that, but we see it all the time, and you are not going to benefit from this. So instead of doing this, the first thing, it's something very, very simple that you can do is calm down. Don't continue repeating mindlessly. Just a very simple exercise. Take 3 seconds break, 3 seconds of breathing before each new repetition. Like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Or a breath of air. And then repeat again. So that's the first thing. Just count 3 seconds or 1 deep breath of air. When you do this for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, you can move on to the next level, which is the thinking and asking yourself the question, what can actually be better? So to demonstrate this, it will be something like this. Now, what do I think could be better? If you happen to not come up with an answer, that's absolutely fine. We are not asking you to know what could be better. We're asking you to just ask yourself the question. And already that is going to help you improve. Just because you're calm, just because you're thinking, and just because you're taking the time before you repeat the next time. And after the second or third or fourth time, or even after a few weeks of doing this, you'll start coming up with answers. For example, I repeat, okay, what could be better? I don't really know musically what could be better, and that's fine. I don't really know technically what could be better, that's also fine. But I have the feeling that I could play a little bit slower, I feel a little bit insecure. Well, if you come up with something like this as an answer, that's brilliant. That means that you are already going to improve because you know that, hey, I'm being a little bit too insecure, too quick, so I can calm down. And then your next repetition will be something like this. So the first was in this tempo, and because you asked yourself the question, now your next repetition will be something like this. A lot of benefits are going to come out of this. Now, even though I want to continue playing, let's get back to the video.
Now that Dimitar showed you what not to do and actually gave you some really good ideas of how you can already improve your repetitions, what we are going to do is we're gonna give you a little look inside what goes on in our head when we're practicing and when we're repeating passages.
Yes, because musicians who are more advanced and who are improving constantly actually always think before each repetition.
And that's what brings great improvement.
And so let's have a look. We'll try to be as precise as possible. After each repetition, we will try to really express what we think into words so you know what's going on in our heads. And then what you can do is when you sit back behind the piano, try to analyze after each repetition what's happening. What are you happy about? What are you not happy about? And what could be better in the next time you repeat the passage.
I'm gonna practice the Fassungsschwank aus Wien from Schumann. And it's a very new piece for me. I actually went through it, the whole first movement. And I just spent only 1 hour on it, so it's very, very fresh. And I thought it would be a really nice piece to demonstrate because I wanted to show you that sometimes the thoughts that go through my head when I'm repeating are actually really, really simple. So simple that I think students, they don't even realize that you should be thinking consciously those thoughts to yourself. Sometimes they're including like, hey, this was a wrong note. I should play this note instead. But consciously thinking that before you repeat it is going to make your repetition much more effective. So let me dive in and show you actually a few spots of repetitions and a few spots of what I'm thinking during those repetitions. Now I want to start with a spot that I actually repeated the last time, and I thought so consciously about what I should change. I still remember it right now, and it was a really great example of something really simple. So I'm gonna start here. Now this was a spot that kept going wrong, and what made it go right for me was that I thought after this bar that I have twice the same note, twice the B, and then one time the C. That's what I thought to myself consciously before I repeated it. So I thought to myself consciously 2 times B and then a C. I even thought more simple, just same movement up. Same movement up. And that's why I'm trying to say this can be something very, very simple, but just thinking this just before you repeat is going to save you like 30 repetitions or so, you know? It will make you get it much, much faster. So let me demonstrate that now. I'm gonna try it in a bit faster tempo. So that went really, really well, but I have to keep feeling this before I play it. So it's gonna take me a while before I can repeat this without thinking this, without thinking 2 times the B and the C. I have to keep thinking this before I play it. So I think that's a really good demonstration of something really, really simple that you can think. So you might think like, oh, professional musicians think about really, really complex things when they repeat. Nah, that's not always the case. Now let's take a little look of what's going on inside Dimitar's head when he's practicing.
Now, if I have to think, I would think that for me it's very important that my chords in the right hand, the intervals and the chords in the right hand, because look, you hear a melody that goes up, but together with that you have intervals. So in my head, almost after every repetition I think like, make sure that the chords are nice and full. So instead of getting something like, so I hear that we have chords. And that goes on throughout the whole piece. Now let's repeat again. So for example now, nothing really crosses my mind. I'm still focused on the chords. And that's something very normal. You have one thought that you have to make sure that you play full chords, and within the next repetitions, every time I think, oh, again the full chords. Then I get another thought. Hey, I have this in the left hand. I have the feeling that I have to be very secure and at the same time very light in my left hand. And so when I'm playing, I have to make sure that I'm not banging the left hand too hard, but like nice and light. At the same time, I have to play it light. I have to also make sure that I feel secure. Then that triggers another thought. Make sure that you're not repeating too quickly and you calm down. This is an example of approximately what goes on through my head. It's not, definitely I don't have different thoughts after every single repetition, but I take the time to think. That's what we want to tell you, that if you take the time to think before you repeat, you're going to start having different thoughts, not after every repetition, but you're going to start having different thoughts, and that automatically would mean that you're going to try to put into action those thoughts, and that means that you're going to start improving as well. Now, in future videos, we'll show many more examples, many different things, but now let's get back to the video.
So I hope you enjoyed the little look inside our head, what's going on actually, what are we thinking about when we're practicing, and especially what are we thinking about when we repeat? Because you see that we absolutely don't mindlessly repeat something. There's always something we think about, and sometimes it's very simple. You know, it's not always something very artistic or whatever. Sometimes it's something really, really simple. Maybe even too simple, and you wouldn't have thought to think something like that consciously. Sometimes it's something more musical. It can be anything, but we always think something, and that's what brings really, really great improvement. And that's why it's not mindless repetition. So it's not that we repeat the same thing over and over again in the same way. No, actually, we make these micro little changes, and that's why it improves. So, in other words, don't avoid repetition. Just make your repetition better and more conscious.
Make it count. That's all. And keep in mind that in 15 minutes of conscious and deliberate practice, you can accomplish something that you've done for weeks. So you can save so much trouble and so much time for yourself.
We hope we also made you think actually about the long-term consequences. Think about, are you happy with your results? Are they what you expect? And think about it in relationship to your practice. If you are not happy with your results, for example, ask yourself the question, am I practicing enough? Very simple. Start simple. But put these results into context of your practice. So make the connection. If you're not happy with your results, it's not you. It's not anything to do with you, but it is everything to do with how you practice.
Now, since it's absolutely impossible with one video to target everybody's problems, if you have a particular problem with determining that something is not good in your practice, short-term, long-term, whatever, and you want to make a change but you don't know what and you don't know how, you can just give us a comment here below, or what you can do is go to our Instagram page, Dimitar. It's the same name as our YouTube channel, and you can just send us a message there. And don't forget, you will help us enormously if you enjoy the video and you click the like button. That's something very important, because then YouTube basically starts liking us and will show our video to more people. Also, subscribing to our channel would be very useful to us, but also to you, because when you're a subscriber, whenever we upload a new video, YouTube is going to give you a notification, so you will know that we've uploaded a new video. And of course, if you happen to know people who also enjoy playing piano and want to learn things, share the video with them. Feel free to do that. For us, it will be great to reach more people. Thanks for being here. For us, it was a pleasure, and we'll see you next time.